America was the first country under British rule to gain its independence and had to fight a war to do it, the Revolutionary War. Blacks fought in that war along with whites, and we gained a great victory. And today, July 4th, we celebrate our independence as a nation. Freedom is not only a protected right, but it's an obligation. So we fight for it. We want it. Unfortunately, when July 4th was given as a holiday for us to celebrate our freedom from Britain, that did not include the blacks that fought in the war to gain the freedom. They went back into slavery. It was another 90 years before we had something to celebrate in any way called freedom. And we call that Juneteenth. Juneteenth is not a nationally recognized holiday or internationally recognized holiday because it's very unique. It was not a holiday like Cinco de Mayo or any of the other holidays. India has independence from Great Britain. Australia, many countries have taken their independence from this empire. But we did not get our independence. We, being Black Americans, did not take our independence or fight for our independence by a war from those that enslaved us. God said, like he did in Egypt, go to Egypt, in Africa, Moses, and get my people out of slavery. Then many years later, we are able to say we're free because God again spoke to someone, Abraham Lincoln. Although he was not a abolitionist, in fact, he believed in slavery, but he did not believe that the Union would be saved by having two different opinions about it, and that it would be a civil war that would solve that problem. He, in fact, wanted the Africans to go back to Africa and would help finance that. But that was not God's plan. God did not bring us here for us to go back to Africa. He brought blacks here to be a part of America, just like he brought many, many immigrants here to be a part of what he called, what he envisioned as being a melting pot of humanity where many cultures could thrive here. Many ideas, philosophies, and colors and creeds and ideologies could prosper in this country. So the way that we got here was not right. But is it a reason not to celebrate that we're free? Our God-given freedom should be celebrated, not mocked or ridiculed. President Biden made the right choice to make this a national holiday for everybody to celebrate. Every other country that is celebrating their independence on an annual basis are doing so with the sanction, recognition, and participation of the government at its highest level. Juneteenth is unique again in that it was just a ragtag group of people that were the last to be told in Texas that they were free, even though 2.5 years earlier, the emancipation had been proclaimed that all enslaved people in America were now free. That did not get to everybody. There were people still working in the fields and in the houses, being abused, being used, and misused on those plantations because they did not know that they were free. General Gordon traveled with his Union troops to Galveston, Texas on June 19th to enforce the proclamation that had already been made that these people could come out of the fields and be free, that these people could come out of their enslavement into freedom at last. And we celebrate our freedom. Yes, I celebrate the 4th of July. I am so proud to be an American. But I have another day. America has 2 days that we celebrate now, and rightfully so. The government should be involved. Why did Candace Owens call Juneteenth a ghetto and a fake holiday? It's because she either does not understand history or she just chooses to be shocking. She wants to be have everybody listen to her, whatever it is that she says, because she shocks us with her outrageous ideas. She has a right to do that. But people that are serious Americans, and people like me that have known racism and apartheid and being stereotyped and being badly treated just because of when you first see me, you don't see the content of my character or know anything about me. All you know is that I'm different and that I'm an other. So I don't have the same rights or privileges. And that has happened for years. It happened in my life. It happened in a lot of people's lives. And so we do have a reason to celebrate that every American was given the right to be free and to walk off those plantations. Even though so different from the Israelites, we walked away with nothing. How do you think that we should not celebrate something that gave us our freedom, even the resilience of our people, the resilience of our culture, just being able to survive and to be where we are now, when you worked 250 years with no rights, no liberty. The law said you had to. Your master said you had to. Your mama said you had to, or you would die. Everybody said you had to work without wages, even though God called it a sin. God said a man is worthy of his hire, and that wages should not be withheld from someone that has worked for you. He also said anyone that gets rich by abusing someone else is sinning against God. So God is not for slavery. God has never been for slavery. A lot of the Old Testament is written decrying slavery of his people, the Israelites, who were freed with a mighty hand of God against Pharaoh. God does not agree with people being slaves, because we're made in his image, and we're not to be slaves to anyone except him if we choose to. And he is a just and loving Father who calls us his children, not his slaves. So we need to be very mindful of what we say about Juneteenth and understand its history and the significance of it. Again, Juneteenth was celebrated in Texas as the last state to recognize and enforce the Emancipation Proclamation made by President Lincoln and signed into law as the right for all people, not just some people, to pursue happiness, to pursue their destinies without fear of the whip and the chain and the bondage and the boot of slavery that held us down for so long. I regret that Candace Owens, whom I used to listen to her when she, years ago, and thought how smart, brilliant young woman, beautiful, was saying things that I totally agreed with. And then she became someone that just got really what I call mean and hateful, and someone that I have no desire to hear what she has to say, because it's unintelligent to say that you have no compassion for a man that has no home and apparently is impaired mentally, that is choked on a subway train and killed for being sick and hungry and homeless, and you have no compassion for him, and I don't understand that. I don't understand someone that takes a platform that is given to them. A black woman, Candace Owens, is a black woman, a young black woman that has been privileged with a platform to speak out and say something, but apparently she has nothing to say that intelligent people want to hear. Not anymore, because she speaks things that are against humanity. She speaks things that she thinks, I believe she thinks, panders to Republican racists. But see, all Republicans are not racist. She speaks to what she thinks is going to make white people feel not guilty about what has happened in our country. But anybody with half a brain would know that what the Germans did to the Jews was awful. It was unexplainably evil. And what was done to black people in this country was unexplainably evil. And what was done to George Floyd publicly, and to Neely, and to Breonna Taylor, and to many in this country was unexplainably evil. And to sanction that and wear a shirt saying white lives matter, it carries no weight with most people, because most of us, as I've said before, in this country politically are in the middle. I cry just as hard when a white child is murdered. I would cry just as hard if Jordan Neely had been a white young man, someone's son. That has nothing to do. I'm a human being first. Then I'm black. I'm also a Christian. And I believe that everybody has a right to the same treatment under law, and that we all have a right to live our lives, and that nobody has a right to celebrate my death, especially when it's taken unjustly. We celebrate Mandela. We celebrate, South Africa has a government sanctioned celebration that now, not just the celebration that they had when apartheid was upheld, but they now celebrate everybody being free. What President Biden did was say, not only is July 4th the celebration of American freedom, which was really white American freedom, now we will also acknowledge that the blacks that were enslaved when we signed our freedom and celebrated it, it did not include them. So Juneteenth is now a recognized federal holiday that says all Americans are free. We're free as a country, and now we're free as a people. And now when I celebrate, everyone can celebrate in my family as well on the 4th of July, because we got some ribs in there and we're really ready to celebrate. But we also celebrated June 19th because there was some unrest, because there was some riots that happened or whatever happened on Juneteenth. That doesn't take away from the validity of the holiday, Candace. Shame on you. There was some killings today, but I'm not celebrating and taking away from anything that happens because of what happened 200 years ago for us to be free in 1776, for us to be free as a country. That doesn't take away from the holiday because some idiots or some angry people start shooting, and that did happen today, and it probably will happen more today. But July 4th is still a day to be celebrated by Americans, and June 19th is a day to be celebrated by all Americans, because now we're all free. God bless you, and happy 4th of July.